Yeah, I would say that certainly they mean different things in both cases. It seems to me that just in general, two people can use the same word, but they don't mean the same thing, depending on the person who is talking, what their station is in life, their function, their job, and so on. For example, if I were to say of a friend of mine that he's a clown, I mean that he's funny. But if I were to say of Krusty the Clown from The Simpsons that he's a clown, I mean something else. I mean that that's his job is to to serve as a clown. So the same word can be used of different people, and depending on the person that it's being applied to, it can mean different things. It can have different connotations. It seems to me that when Christ calls himself the Alpha and Omega, and he sort of appropriates these divine titles, he is speaking specifically with respect to the new creation that God is intending to bring about through him. He is the Alpha and the Omega as regards the new creation. So he was the firstborn from the dead. He was the first one to be raised from the dead. He was the first one to receive the Spirit without measure. He was basically the inaugurator of this new world that God is creating. The kingdom came in his person, and he was, in a sense, sort of the kingdom of God arriving among human beings through his empowerment with the Spirit. So I would say that when this phrase applies to Christ, it refers specifically within the framework of the new creation. He's the first one in that new creation. He's the last one in the sense that it all resolves in him. The whole point of this, like Paul says in Ephesians, God's whole purpose for the world is to bring all things to a unity revolving around this person Christ in Ephesians chapter 1, verse 10. So I would interpret it in those ways. There's a sort of an analogy between the way that God relates to the cosmos as Alpha and Omega, and the way that Christ relates to the new creation as an Alpha and Omega. But again, even though the same phrases are applied, they don't need to mean the same thing, because the person that they're applied to is different. Just like if I were to call my friend a clown, that's one thing. If you were to call Krusty the Clown a clown, that's something else, because the persons are different.